Welcome to the show. I'm Danella, and here's what's happening now. This week, a maker of birth control pills are recalling their pills. Why? Because women are getting pregnant. In our world, it's on deck. This week, we're talking about humans, the destroyers. A shocking new study which says that humans make up 0.01% of all life on Earth. However, we've managed to destroy 83% of wild mammals. We'll talk about that and then other shocking revelations in this new study. But first, we learned a valuable lesson this week, and that is that Ambien does not cause racism. That's right. That is not a side effect. You know, they go through that long list of possible side effects. Racism is not one of them. And that's just a tragic story with Roseanne. For her to put out a racist tweet and then her show is canceled by ABC, unfortunately, putting hundreds of people out of work. It's just really sad. And when I was younger, I loved the Roseanne show. And it's just so sad, you know? Racism. It's just sad. Yeah. I mean, it was just ridiculous to see her tweet and then for her to just say, oh, I was so exhausted. And then I took an Ambien. We're talking hundreds of people out of work affected by one person. And I wasn't someone that watched the new season, although I'd heard from multiple people that it was a good show, that so far it was doing good. I heard they were in talks for season 2. Writers returned to work, ready to get to work. Same day they discover they no longer have jobs. And what's really amazing is that ABC network is holding Roseanne to a higher standard than the U.S. government holds Trump. I think that's going to jump us right into political pop. Here is your political pop for Friday, June 1st. The White House, in conjunction with the Ad Council, will release new ads this upcoming week, talking about the dangers of opioid use. So they're saying that the ads will have a shock on the conscience. They also said, think about the old ads for this is your brain on drugs, that level of seriousness. And what Trump says, he says that you have to engage and enrage. So that's what's coming up in these ads. Speaking of enrage, okay, so you heard this past week that Kim Kardashian went to the White House to advocate for prison reform as well as to get clemency for Alice Johnson. She's serving a life sentence for a first-time low-level drug offense. But did you see the photo op that she got with Trump? That's really what's enraging to me. I mean, his face, just how are we not seeing that? It just looks perverted. Like, just looks like the uncle that you never sit on his lap. Don't sit on old uncle's lap. Yeah, so many things wrong with that picture. Good for Kim for doing something positive, but so many creepy thoughts come to mind when looking at this picture. I'm DanellaNOW. And that was your political pop. Now, let's get into the recall of a birth control pill. I was unfamiliar with this pill, but the drug company Allergan, haven't heard of them. But anyway, they were giving out samples of, I think it's pronounced Tatula birth control. Anyway, they were handing it out in doctor's office, and they're saying that the pills themselves were mixed up because some of the pills are placebo pills. Well, unfortunately, some of the placebo pills aren't at the end of the month, and they're actually at the beginning. And so, yeah, they're saying women are getting pregnant. Yeah, and they're recalling 170,000 sample packs. That's a lot of packs. And there might be a lot of women saying, what the heck? So here's what you have to look out for. If you have this birth control, Tatula birth control pills, lot 5620706 expires on May 2019. Okay, they've been issued since August 27, 2017. So if that is your pack, they say return the sample packs and notify your physician. I can't even imagine. So heads up again. They started issuing them August 27, 2017. So there's going to be some surprise mothers. Some surprise mothers. Terrible. Also in our news this week, speaking of terrible, you heard about Harvey Weinstein actually indicted of rape. Let's talk about some of the charges. So he's indicted in rape in the first and third degrees and first degree criminal sexual act. He actually avoided custody by posting a $1 million cash bail. And of course, he's pleading not guilty. It's important to note that he's also being investigated in New York, that's ongoing, Los Angeles, as well as London. Also, this week, Sears announced they're closing 72 more stores. Yeah, we've been seeing so many of their stores close. In fact, they had previously closed nearly 400 stores. This is in the last year. But they say, 72 more stores are due to closing because of lack of performance. I didn't know this, but Sears is currently looking to sell Kenmore Appliance brand to raise more money for them. I guess that's a good thing to sell, especially with the new tariffs being raised on aluminum and steel. Might want to get rid of that company. Of course, Mexico, Canada, they are heated and they're saying, you want to put tariffs on us? Well, you think about exporting your goods, prepare to pay. And also in surprising news, did you hear about this? Brigitte Nielsen, she was Red Sonja. She was also in Beverly Hills Cop 2. I know her more from The Surreal Life, if you watch that show. But anyway, Danish-Italian actress, she just announced her 5th pregnancy at 54. Yes, she's 54 years old, having her 5th child. It's amazing. A lot of women having children older. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I know it's none of my business, but I think about it as I'm aging too. My family wants me to have another child. I feel like my son is enough, but everyone, is urging me to have a girl. But I'm like, I feel fulfilled off of my son. But it's interesting. We saw it with Janet Jackson. I believe she was 50 when she had her first child, And then, we're just seeing women older having children. But I can't imagine being pregnant at 54. But good for her. She seems elated and happy. Because I'm not near 50, but in my mind, I'm tired. Like, I'm tired. My son's almost 3. So I can't imagine starting over. Even if I had ample help, like that toll on your body. Wow. It's amazing. So go Brigitte. You doing it. Now, before we get into In Our World, we're going to head to Puerto Rico and we're going to talk about a new study that came out this week. Their government is still saying that only 64 people died following Hurricane Maria. Well, this new study says that up to 4,645 more deaths occurred in Puerto Rico in 3 months following Hurricane Maria. And here's the other big news that's coming out of the area right now. Today marks the start of hurricane season. And they're still dealing with tens of thousands of homes without roofs following Hurricane Maria. And now they're saying that as they're patching up the grids and they're getting their power back up, remember, many homes still are without power. And they're saying that if a hurricane is to hit the island again, that they can lose power all over again, that even if the hurricane is just a category 1. Unfortunately, they're saying that some of the areas that have restored power have done so, and it's not even sturdy. They just did the best that they could with the supplies that they had. So let's talk about it. We're talking 8 months after $3.8 billion in federal money to end the longest blackout in U.S. history. But even after all of that money, they're saying, hey, there's a grid. It's there, but it's not really working. And what's to blame? Decades of mismanagement. They're saying that when crews came in to repair the power grid, a lot of what they did was fix the infrastructure that was deteriorating. We're talking old telephone poles, and they had to go in and replace those as well. In some area, crews haphazardly wove power cables through trees in a blatant violation of basic safety codes. So here's what the officials are telling people there. They're saying stock up for at least 10 days. We're talking emergency food, emergency aid for 10 days. That's how long they think it'll take to get response to the area. And again, tens of thousands of homes still don't have roofs. And it's inevitable. It's hurricane season. They're going to get hit with another hurricane. They have a high percentage of that happening. And they deserve better. How can we allow this to happen to our citizens? They deserve better. And now we'll get into In Our World. In our world this week, humans, the destroyers. Humans just 0.01% of all life, but have destroyed 83% of wild mammals. That's according to a new study. When I saw this, I just couldn't believe it. So the study says 60% of all mammals on Earth are livestock, mostly cattle and pigs. 36% are humans, and only 4% are actually wild animals. That's shocking. We're just doing so much to farm the animals on Earth. There's only 4% wild mammals, just 4%. And let's talk about in the ocean. They say in the ocean, following centuries of whaling has just left a fifth of marine mammals in the ocean. Just a fifth. And then also we'll get to the birds. Farm poultry today makes up 70% of all birds on the planet. All birds on the planet, 70%. Farmed poultry, 30% wild. And so I bring this up for us. I mean, it's shocking to hear this study, absolutely shocking. And I bring it up to just get us to think more about our consumption. I talk about that a lot because that's present in my world. I think about the consumption, and it's difficult. I mean, we consume, and we don't really give back. And so something to think about as you're thinking about your own diet. How much do you consume animals? I'm not telling you not to consume them. I'm just saying, how much do you consume these animals? And how important it is to create more of a balance. Because I'm going to reveal a fact to you. And people are going to be angry when they hear this, but this is true. I have a friend who is she no longer works at this company, but she worked at a very popular fast food chain, very popular. And she explained to me, she said, when they do sales, and when you think just think of your favorite fast food restaurant, and they might say, hey, this week is a sale. You might pay $1 for an item, right? And so she said, honestly, what corporations have to do when they do those sales is they have to stock up the meat in advance. So let's say if we're talking about a burger, it's going to be, hey, you got $1 blank burger or $2 for blank burger for a limited time, that the restaurants prepare for that like a year in advance. And they stockpile the meat. And so she said to me, if you think about it, how tasty would the meat be if it's frozen for a year? And I was like, oh, it wouldn't be tasty at all. It would be disgusting. I remember our wedding cake. When we ate it a year later, we tasted it. I don't know why. I don't know what's up with that tradition. But it's terrible. The cake is disgusting. If anybody tells you otherwise, I don't know what they're eating. But it's not. I was like, we might die. Let's just hold it by our face and smile. But I can't imagine an animal uncooked. So anyway, she said, yeah, so what happens is by that point, all the flavor, anything that's good and great in it, it's gone. So really what the restaurants have to do, these fast food chains, is they have to then just go in and inject it with flavor. And I said, "Oh, wait, that's really like the Matrix." Because there was a point where, remember, the guy is back in the Matrix and he's eating the steak and he says, even though I know this steak isn't real, it tastes so good. He just wants to eat it, even though we know it isn't real. And so she was telling me this story, and she said, "Yes, it is like the Matrix." She was like, "It's real shady." So I said to her, "I'm not going to eat at your fast food chain anymore." And she said to me, "It's not just us, it's the majority." She was like, "Think of who you think is a favorite chain." And she said, "If you think about it, there's not enough chickens grown to be consumed." She was like, naturally, if you think about growing chickens the natural way you would grow a chicken, there's no way to grow enough chickens to satisfy the amount of chickens humans like to eat. So we're talking hormones to make chickens bigger, have more of the chickens and stockpile them to satisfy the desire. Sad. So just giving you a heads up, your favorite place, a lot of your favorite restaurants. Mm-hmm. Try to eat there and you're really not tasting actual food. You're tasting injected flavors. But it tastes so good. So anyway, something to keep in mind as you're thinking about your diet and what you're putting into your body and the world that we live in. We have to be aware of how much we're consuming before there's nothing left. I would be very angry if the only wild birds are poultry. I wouldn't even just be angry. How would the world we live in survive? Seriously. But yeah, it's just something to think about. So that's in our world. So before we wrap up the show, I just have a couple of important announcements / shout outs to make. I want to shout out my granny. This weekend, my family, we were blessed to celebrate her 97th birthday. In fact, her actual birthday is on my husband and our anniversary. So yeah, we celebrated another year. Go us. We still alive. Yes. As in we didn't kill each other. You just never know. Life can get tough. But no, not that we would really kill each other. I joke about that a lot. But I joke with him about it. Like, we still made it. But seriously, life is tough. So just blessed for us to see another year and year together. And for our family, 97, to celebrate my grandmother's 97th birthday, it just touched my heart. She is, aware of her family and moving and shaking, and man, it's such a blessing, especially off of the heels of the previous week where I'd spent some time just talking to older seniors in our community that are dealing with dementia and how difficult it is for them and their families, how difficult that process is. And it's just really a blessing. So happy birthday again, Granny. And for all of us, count your blessings. Count your blessings, because you just never know. Life is very, very challenging. So anytime you have the ability to celebrate, I say embrace, celebrate one another, and love one another any chance you get, because nothing is promised here on earth. And what was also really cool this week was we were able to take our son to the beach. Oh man, nature. Nature is free, life-changing activities. So this summer, if you're trying to think, okay, I want to do something with my significant other or, our children, our family, and you're thinking to yourself, we don't have a lot of money, depending on where you live, right? Especially in the country. If you live in the country, the South, anywhere, you have no excuse. Even upstate, if you're talking about New York, shoot, West Coast, there's so much you can do for free by just getting out in nature. There's still tons of free nature parks, and kids love them. They are amazed. And start them early. You do it early, then as they get older, they'll still enjoy it. Don't start when they're 13. It's like, okay, now I'm going to force this nature on you. No, get them early when they're just amazed by it. And then it just creates such joy because then you yourself are able to just see that beauty again because you're looking through kids' eyes. And so to see my son, I was so proud of him because we're a water family. We love it. And this little guy, he's almost 3. Man, when I tell you, he just walked out into the ocean like what? We had to we had to grab his. Where were we in Yorktown, Virginia. That was my first time in Yorktown, but that's where my family from North Carolina drove up to celebrate my grandmother's birthday. It was a good midway point for the people in Clinton, North Carolina. They got to meet there, and then us cats in DC, we got to go down to Virginia. It wasn't as far. But it was absolutely beautiful there. I had no idea, but I loved it, man. He had on his little water shoes. He was out. And so I thought to myself, it was just beautiful connecting for us. And so I wanted, hey, summer's here and you're thinking about fun things to do, dates. Ooh, do it for free. Take a walk, pack a lunch. That's a romantic picnic. I'm looking out for you. You don't have to do the most. Let nature do it. Yeah, it's awesome. So, as always, thank you for joining the show. You can email me, Danella, at DanellaNOW.com. On all social networks, Danella Now. Thank you so much for joining the show. I hope you have an incredible weekend, and I will see you next week.